joy turned into a season of grief. A total of 127,000 hectares of land for rice, corn, and other crops reported crop failure. Roughly 40,000 fish pond areas, the main growth subsector of fisheries, reported fish kill. Had the rains not come in August and in September, the dry spell would have triggered massive power failures and inflicted more damage to the agricultural sector. The nation only knows too well what comes with power failure: economic paralysis, political instability, mass panic. We ask ourselves, what has happened to a country which, according to conventional knowledge, has abundant water supply? For after all, we are an archipelago. The water crisis from late May to July, though short-lived, brought into the national consciousness an element of shock. The days of water abundance are over. It is perhaps both convenient and abundant and cavalier to put the blame on the usual suspects: rapid population growth, an urban sprawl built on former farmlands and forest areas, water consumed by irrigation and power needs, and the natural deterioration of our usually dependable water sources. But at the root of our water crisis is the deterioration of the country's forest areas. Under nature's wondrous order of things, watershed areas store water for release into the water receptacles during the dry months, ensuring a continuity of water supply. Illegal loggers plunder hardwood wherever they are, in precious and life-giving watershed areas, even in national parks and forest reservations, even in protected areas. Most of the 125 proclaimed watershed areas, covering a total of 1,499 million hectares, have been classified as deteriorating or dying. And this comes from a JICA report. We lose 1.4% of our forest cover a year. And the ASEAN only Myanmar deforests at this furious pace. A prodigious destroyer of forest areas is almost always a weak protector, and this is a sad case of the Philippines. Total protected area is only 2.5 million hectares, just 9% of a total land area in our country. Protection is nominal. There is only one forest guard for every 4,000 hectares. As of December 2004, 52.8% of a country's total land area is so-called classified forest land, and less than a dozen provinces have forest cover of 40% and above. Unsustainable mining inflicts the same lethal harm on the environment. To make way for mining operations, there is extensive clearing of vegetation and earth moving in forest areas. Worse, the toxic effluents that mining generates poisons rivers and arable lands. From 1990 to 1999, more than 130 million metric tons of tailings spilled over into our water sources and farmlands. Our atmosphere is in the same perilous state. Air pollution is a serious urban problem. The air Metro Manilans take in is laced with harmful pollutants that are generated by the burning of fossil fuel, making Metro Manila one of the most polluted cities in the world. The combustion of fossil fuel from vehicles, from factories, has been on a steady rise, one of the major sources of increased air pollution that aggravates respiratory ailments like asthma, bronchitis, tuberculosis. If pollutants are silent killers, there are massive garbage piles at ground level which are poisonous to the environment. The giant dump sites which persists in Payatas and elsewhere in Metro Manila dramatize our third world status. There are garbage piles everywhere, on sidewalks, on rivers, on the esteros, in our sewerage system, causing our annual perennial floods. Metro Manila generates 4,600 tons of garbage daily, much of which is not properly disposed of. From these mounds, poisonous leachate is generated, absorbed by the ground below. My God, who knows what strays into the underground water? And who knows the quality of the water that we drink? Nature has a way of reminding man of his great folly and the savage abuse of the natural environment. Disasters of biblical magnitude, which cause death and destruction on unimaginable levels, upset the social system, wipe out whole communities, and destroy the fabric that makes up a functioning society. Who can forget the Ormoc tragedy, Mr. President? The recent disaster in Daraga Albay, the mudslide that uprooted logs, wrecked homes, and killed thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in Infanta and Real in Quezon and in Dingalan in Aurora in December of 2004. In 2001, the mountains of garbage in Payatas collapsed, creating a mini Armageddon. Today, far greater disasters worldwide loom in our not-so-distant horizon with accelerated global warming. This is not just in the Philippines, Mr. President. Look what happened to New Orleans. Look what happens in Europe. Look what happens with the floods in China and elsewhere. Nature suffers from our abuse silently, but has a way of reminding us of its terrifying, vindictive force. But it would be a wrong policy to ignore the symptoms. We should assist the healing of nature now. We have passed many laws in this chamber, way before my time, perhaps too many. After spending some 20 years of studying and compiling all the environmental laws of the Philippines, resulting in a book of 850 pages, 8.5 by 11 inches, an author, Attorney Tony Oposa, an internationally renowned environmental lawyer who is a United Nations awardee, present in this hall today, in his dedication said, "To Filipinos, may we learn to make less laws." It is toward this end that I respectfully seek the help of my esteemed colleagues in